Greetings, family. Empress Steve. Look at the place that I'm at. It's so beautiful. Mind you, I have seen a couple of signs as I'm walking along the riverbank saying, watch out for alligators. So I will be keeping an eye out for alligators. I hope everybody is well and also doing things for themselves. Now, I want to talk about something very specific, a difficult topic and something that people don't often want to face, but I want to talk about healing. Now, what is healing? I guess it could be a whole bunch of things, right? But specifically, I want to talk about healing our emotional and maybe even generational wounds, family. Because whether we realize it or not, we all carry them. And I know that people are often too busy to actually take the time to recognize that they have emotional wounds, but I think we're coming up into a time that recognizing them, addressing them, and healing from them is going to be absolutely essential. A lot of people don't like to face things that make them feel uncomfortable. And what I've found, at least in my experience, is that when we face the uncomfortable things that come up, at the other side of it is a lot of healing. It's a lot of improvement. But you do have to go through that discomfort in order to get there. So one of the ways that I would encourage people to heal is obviously what I'm doing right now, being alone with your thoughts in a natural environment. When you take the opportunity and the time to do that, there's no distractions and you can actually kind of think. I'm going to be quite honest, I get a lot of inspiration when I'm in a natural environment by myself without any distractions. A lot of inspiration, a lot of insight, and a lot of, I would call them downloads or messages from my higher self, from our creator, from that higher energy that's connected to all of us, that I've really been practicing tapping into. Over the last, I would say, oh my gosh, it's been a while, but most intensively over the last 3 years, I've done a lot of healing. And I've been able to do this because I have been pretty still. And not still by choice, but still because of circumstances. Now, I will say this. I have opened myself up for divine guidance. And so I think that it's that divine guidance that has me in this still place. I've been through a lot of challenges over the last few years that have really stripped me from a lot of the identities that I previously would have identified with. I used to be a wife. I used to be a nurse practitioner. I used to be so many things that when somebody would ask you, oh, what do you do? Obviously, I would explain that my profession, that I'm a nurse practitioner. And I find when we meet each other and when we meet people, especially as adults, that's the first thing everybody asks. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And it goes to show how we really identify ourselves through our professions. Now, when that is stripped away from us, family, how do we identify? And I've had the challenge of it's not even it's actually finding out who I really am outside of the labels that I had previously placed on myself. Without the label as nurse or nurse practitioner, who am I? And actually, I am quite comfortable and proud of who I am. What I do notice though, and when I have conversations with people, I really tend to listen. And I've had several conversations with people who that can't understand me actually letting go of that label. I had a wonderful, beautiful family member, and I know that they mean well, and they are a product of their exposures and circumstances and upbringing and previous life experience, and they just could not reconcile with me not wanting to be a nurse again. They said, no, but you can do this type of nursing, or no, you can go there and do that type of nursing. But they just couldn't understand how I could be so willing to let go of that label. What I think that they weren't able to conceptualize is that I recognize that I'm a lot more than this flesh suit. I recognize that I am actually a spark, an energy source that lives within this meat suit. And when this meat suit, when my physical body passes away or transitions, that energy does not pass away. It does not die. It just transmutes into a different form. And so during what I've gone through over the last few years, I've been stripped away of so many physical and material things that it has forced me to really find out and know who I am. And in that knowingness and in that discovery of who I am, I've taken the time to cultivate and shape who I am and how I show up into a way that I am super, super proud of. And I wonder how many of us that if faced with what the challenges that I went through, how they would fare. Because I recognize that a lot of people put so much emphasis on labels. And we have to really ask ourselves, if we are stripped from those labels, who are we? I feel like I'm getting real philosophical today, family. But that's what's up. That's what I've been inspired to share. And now when I pressed record on my video, I had no idea what I was going to talk about, but that's what came through. And so I really encourage people to start to think about that. Think about, who am I if I was stripped of everything that I used to identify myself. These labels that we place on ourselves throughout our societies and in our social existences, right? I really think that is what's important, and that's what we need to be focusing on as humans that are striving to be the best us that we can be. I want to show you guys my environment. So I'm at this cool place. Look at this. See this water here? And look behind me. There's actually canoes that you can rent to go in the water. But at the same time, I've seen 2 signs that say, like, beware of the alligator. And it just says alligator. It doesn't say alligators. So I'm wondering if there's just one, but I'm sure it was just a typo, or they just forgot to put the S, but I'm sure there's more than one. But I haven't seen any yet, and I've been keeping my eyes peeled to try to see one, family. But anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling. Again, I had no real topic. I just wanted to check in. I haven't recorded a video in a bit. And I also just wanted to really encourage people to do that work. Do the uncomfortable work of really getting to know who you are, especially outside of the labels that we place on ourselves. What I find is that people hide behind those labels, family, and they identify with those labels. And again, if those labels are stripped from them, who would they be? Thank you for taking the time to listen to this message, family. I really love and I value each and every one of you, and get out in nature. You're really missing out if you neglect to do so, okay? Again, but you know what? It is your journey and your life, and you have free will, so you can do whatever the heck you want, right? Thank you for taking the time to listen to this, family. I love and I value each and every one of you. One love.